the stretch here. Oh, it's that old reliable horse. Oh, it's Treyton Blackburn coming down the stretch, and it's coming around the corner. Oh, and it's coming in. The Kentucky Derby. Oh my God!
Whoa!
Treyton Blackburn, the jockey, has just run the Kentucky Derby.
The first centaur to ever compete in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
Wow.
Welcome to Kentucky Fried Roadkill. It is Derby week.
It is.
Down here in Kentucky.
Down in old Kentucky.
In our old Kentucky home.
Let's not do the second verse of Kentucky Home.
Nobody knows the first verse anyways. So.
Well, one of the verses is really bad.
Yeah. There's a couple verses.
Yes.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And anything past the first half of the first verse.
Yes. Well, I am your thoroughbred darling.
Ooh.
Treyton Blackburn.
And I am your hunk with halitosis, Evan Pride.
Wow, beautiful.
Yes.
How you doing, Evan Pride?
I'm doing all right.
So your community is in a fervor, as I understand it.
Yes.
Over these beautiful four-legged beasts.
Yes. Kinda. I mean,
Sure.
I mean, people who grow up in Louisville, obviously the Derby is a big deal because it's a national spotlight. All the celebrities come in with the big fancy hats and shit.
Yeah, your mom get a big fancy hat?
No, that's the thing. Like, we've lived in Louisville, or I mean, she grew up elsewhere, but
Sure.
But I've never seen a big fancy hat. Like,
wow.
I've never gone over and like my mom had a big hat on, or like no one really celebrates Derby.
Interesting.
Like it's. I guess some people go to Derby, but most people watch Derby on TV, and most people who live in Louisville go to Oaks. Oaks Day is the race the day before Derby.
Okay.
Or 2 days before Derby. It's either the Thursday or the Friday.
So why is that? Is it just
It's
Derby's expensive, or
Derby's I mean it's expensive. If you're trying to actually watch the races, I mean, good fucking luck. I mean, they literally call it Millionaires Row.
Yeah.
Like where all the millionaires sit and get to watch the race and shit. And most of the people in town inhabit the infield and just get irresponsibly blackout drunk and throw bottles up in the air and fight each other and shit.
I've never been to a horse race.
Really?
Yeah, never been to a horse race. But as I understand it, getting blackout drunk is kind of the whole sort of vibe. That's kind of it's the reason you go to a horse race.
It's gambling, it's drinking, it's waving the ticket in the air.
Sure.
I'm not a big horse race guy. I've been to Derby once.
Yeah.
It was horrible. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. We went to the infield. This was a couple years ago, and it was just pouring rain.
Sure.
It was just miserable. We left after like an hour. We got one mint julep, and we were like, let's get the fuck out of here.
Let's get the fuck out of here. Yeah. You know, Louisville is known for horse racing.
Yes.
And that's the big competitive animal sport in your community. My community, back in the old hills of Appalachia.
Is it greyhounds?
It's cockfighting, old boy.
Oh, cockfighting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know quite a few people who breed fighting chickens.
Fighting chickens?
Yes. Mean fuckers, those chickens.
I'd rather cockfighting than dogfighting, though, right?
Well, I mean, they're both sort of...
They're both
kind of
immoral.
Very immoral, very evil sports.
But if you had to choose, we eat chickens. We don't eat dogs.
That's true. We don't eat dogs.
Yeah. In Western Kentucky, there's a racetrack that races ostriches or emus. Emus. Emus.
Emu farming is huge in Kentucky. There's actually an emu farm.
They're all over the place.
In Pike County. Yeah.
Yeah. There's
only one that I know of in Pike County.
There's one off of Louisville, kind of in Oldham County area.
Yeah.
I think called Noah's Ark or something.
Noah's Ark.
There's also that big ass ark in Kentucky.
Big ass ark.
I've never been to that thing. I want to go.
I've also never been. I've heard it's an anti-scientific marvel.
Yes.
I have been, however, to the Creation Museum. I have been there.
Oh, are they not the same thing?
No. So the Creation Museum...
They seem like
connected.
they'd be the same thing.
Same organization.
Okay.
But the Creation Museum...
Sister museums.
...is an indoor thing.
You go to the Met, then you go to the MoMA.
Yeah.
You go to the Ark, then you go to the Creation Museum.
Exactly. And the Ark is this outdoor thing, and they want to expand it into like a whole sort of biblical outdoor theme park.
Why don't they make it like a zoo? Like actually
the Creation Museum is a zoo.
They have two of all the animals?
Not two. I don't know about all the animals.
If you're going to go through the effort of building a
Noah's Ark,
an actual sized Noah's Ark, why not put two of every animal in it?
Right.
I mean, if you're gonna go through all that effort,
it's always hilarious to me that like people who believe in creationism, I don't.
No.
People who believe in that believe like
the
like
Bible word for word. Yeah.
Well, not only that, but they believe that like you could fit every animal on the planet into that ark.
Yeah, and it would work out.
Right. Right. And that 7 people could manage every animal on the planet.
Yeah. I love the Family Guy bit about that. It's like there's a fucking penguin with an elephant's head.
And the elephant head.
Like,
what the fuck is this?
Yeah. But no, in West there's also greyhound racing, greyhound dogs.
Yeah.
Those are big, and those are funny because on the rail they have like some sort of food or something that they all chase.
Yeah.
It's funny. The horses just know to run.
Yeah. Horses are just, I mean,
they're beautiful
they're
animals.
Magnificent creatures.
Oh my God. I love horses.
Like a beautiful sort of land-bound mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
we both went to school here at UK in Central Kentucky, and all around here is just it's beautiful horse area. Yeah. Keeneland is here in town. You've never been to Keeneland?
I've never been to Keeneland.
You've never been to Churchill Downs?
Never been to Churchill Downs.
I've been to Churchill Downs a lot of times, but like for tours and shit.
Yeah.
You see like the bed of roses and you're like, holy shit, Secretariat's foot, or like and they're like Secretariat's heart was the size of a basketball or some shit. Yeah, it's crazy.
I do feel like at some point in my life, I feel like it was back in middle school, I went on a field trip to like the Kentucky Horse Festival or something in Central Kentucky. It was like an outdoor festival, very centered around horses.
It was probably at Keeneland, if I had to guess.
I don't know. So far in my memory.
Horse museums are big field trips in Kentucky.
Yeah. I was very confused the whole time. I don't know what was going on. To this day, I don't know why I was there. If anybody knows why I was there, please email us and let me know.
Well, you have to go to a horse race sometime.
Why?
It's Kentucky culture. It's part of it.
It's not my culture.
It's fun. Well,
it's Central Kentucky culture.
That's fine. I mean, you don't have. I'm not gonna make you go to the horse race. It's fun though.
Evan's holding a gun on me, telling me that I have to go with him to a horse race, or he will kill me.
Yes, I'm gonna shove this mint julep down your throat.
No, I don't like mint.
Mickey, you don't like mint? Mint juleps are terrible.
I would figure.
Let's get one thing straight.
Most like alcohol people swear by is bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I enjoy it's bourbon, mint, and like just like a sugar syrup.
It seems like I would hate that.
I like bourbon, I like mint, and I like sugar together. They just don't
work.
They don't work well.
I don't like mint at all.
You don't like mint?
No, and I don't like bourbon either.
Okay. Well, one of those things benefits you.
One of those things. Just give me a glass of the sugar syrup.
Actually, your breath stinks too, so they both suck.
That's true.
No. Yeah, so Kentucky Derby. Louisville, it's like a thing. Mainly the thing that you go to in Louisville Derby season. There's the whole 2 weeks leading up to the Derbies.
Sure.
Technically the Kentucky Derby Festival.
Yeah.
And it's the whole state of Kentucky is supposed to just be drinking their asses off.
And is that like your guys' hillbilly days?
I guess so.
Because Hillbilly Days is our big local festival.
Well, we have a bunch of small events that are scattered around. The biggest one is Thunder over Louisville. Yeah. That's the start of the whole thing. I just read that it's the biggest fireworks show in North America, which
fireworks show.
Annual, yeah.
In North America.
Which I did not know. I've been going to it my whole life. One time I went downtown and I decided like while it was going on, I was bored, and we were in like some office building that my friend's parent worked in or some shit, because that's the move. Like whoever's friend's parent worked in the like a weird office in the skyscraper in downtown, you'd go there and you watch it. And traffic is fucking crazy because everybody's going downtown to watch the fireworks. And we tried to beat the traffic. I was like, let's head out of here. Let's get out of here. I mean, it's going to take forever to get back. And, we've seen this thing a million times. Fireworks go kaboom and whatever. Yeah. And as we were pulling out of the parking garage, like, it was the grand finale. It was like... and just while that's going on, everybody's just booking it towards the exits. Everybody's getting in their cars. and it took me normally it takes 20 minutes to get downtown to my house. It took me 3.5 hours to get back. Yeah, because they had
holy God,
they had roads shut down and they had one ways, and it was this whole fucking system. And I missed the exit. It could have been a 30-minute trip for me. I missed the exit just because it was like I was new at driving at the time too, and I was like, driving downtown, and then I missed the exit. I ended up way down in the west side of Louisville. It was very late at night. I was very frightened. I had my dad on the phone, and he was like, "God damn it, Evan, where you're fucking lost." He's like, "How are you at 15th Street?" And he's like, he was like, he literally had the maps out and was like guiding me, and I was like, "This street's closed too," and I was like yelling at him. And I remember when I got back on like the freeway to heading towards my home, where it was like the home stretch, I literally just went out the window. And my girlfriend at the time was in the seat next to me, and our friend was sleeping in the back seat, and they both went just like, "What the fuck, man!" It was like I was suppressing all that anger,
all that rage,
all that rage, just to get out of there.
It's really interesting because, like, when I lived in Louisville, I would get lost, but like, I was like, I can get back to where I'm supposed to be. These are roads, but like, you get lost in my town. Like, you call your mom and she's like, "Where are you at?" And I'm like, "I don't know.
There's trees.
There's trees.
There's a creek.
A creek and a rock. I don't know where I am. I don't know how to get out." She's like, "Well, just keep driving straight. You'll hit either a dead end or the road eventually."
They probably do smoke signals and shit to find each other.
Yeah, and you don't have any signal, and you're like, "If I die out here, no one will ever know." That's the scary. But like, so my dad's always wanted to go to the Kentucky Derby. His whole life he's wanted to go to the Derby.
It's like an experience that's worth going to if you were born and raised in Kentucky. I don't know. It's a Kentucky thing. Like
it is.
I don't give a shit about what's other Kentucky things. Johnny Depp.
I think I would call Red River Gorge a big Kentucky thing. The Gorge is pretty well known.
The Gorge, baseball bats.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali.
I think this is all Louisville stuff.
It's the shit I care about.
This is all Louisville stuff.
I don't give a shit about corn, but if you grow up in Kentucky, eat some corn once in your life. Bam, perfect analogy. Moving on.
The old Kentucky home is a Kentucky thing.
Yeah. I don't know. There's certain traditions that you don't give a shit about, but you partake in them because, like, why not? It's fun.
Sure.
It's a thing to celebrate, you know. It's an event that's going on.
Sure. Well, and that's the thing about, like, I don't know. I think that people like lump sort of Kentucky culture together. But I am telling you, a lot of the things that like are defined as Kentucky culture, not only did I not really give a shit about them, they weren't really formational or noteworthy in my growing up experience. Like,
what do you like? Give an example of a thing that's Kentucky culture.
Yeah, so like the Derby. Never gave a fuck about the Derby. Don't care. Never identified it with my culture at all. But the Hatfields and the McCoys, very close to my heart. Very much a part of my culture. And I just think that, like, and I'm sure it's like this with every state, but like there is a ton of regional nuance in Kentucky culture.
Yeah.
Like, you don't give a shit about the Hatfield McCoys. You wouldn't call that part of your culture, I imagine.
No.
But it is certainly Kentucky culture.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And certainly people away from here, like if you mention Kentucky, the Hatfields and McCoys, hillbillies with shotguns will be one of the first images that comes to mind. And that is not honest. Hey, guys, we're actually paying off the sort of conceptual conceit of the show.
Yeah, I know.
Fucking 13 episodes in.
Yeah. We occasionally talk about Kentucky. Don't worry, we're going to talk about the finale of Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah, we'll
soon.
get there. We'll get there. Give us a minute. But yeah, I just think, hillbilly culture is very much Kentucky, and that's not honest to your experience at all, I would imagine.
I mean, I have family from Western Kentucky, so
But they're not hillbillies.
I have roots in the country, but they're not hillbillies. No,
Right.
I wouldn't. They're not like.
They are categorically not from the hills.
No, yeah, I guess I'd never even thought about that. The hillbilly, yeah.
Yeah, they're
I
hillbillies.
would maybe call rednecks.
Rednecks.
Is a better word than hillbillies.
Yeah.
Hillbillies, you think of some dude wearing a straw hat, playing on a jug
I know.
and a washboard.
I know that guy. You leave him alone. He's a good guy. He's a good dude.
Several of those guys.
I saw him this weekend. I did. I can tell you this. I was in a play for the first time since COVID.
Yeah, you did because we were going to record on Wednesday.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I texted
did
you.
tell you.
Yeah.
I was in a play.
I guess this episode is coming out a day late, but it's coming out on Derby, so
Yeah, happy Derby, everybody.
Yeah, so go fuck yourselves.
But I
Happy
was
Derby.
in the Hatfield Mccoy play. We were doing it virtually for the American Association of Community Theaters digital festival this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I've done this play this is year 7, 8, the 7th or 8th year I've done this play.
Yeah, you played a different role than you normally play.
I've played
right?
a different role almost every year. Very rarely do I repeat roles in the show.
Oh, you were telling So you were telling me about this earlier. You played a new role. And you had a fuck ton of lines to memorize,
I
right?
did.
Did you get those down?
I sure did.
Okay.
I sure did. I'll tell you what. I am not good at learning lines. Everyone knows this about me.
Yes.
It's not a secret. I'm bad at it.
Well documented on the podcast.
Well documented that I'm not good at learning lines. But, dude, when performance time came, I didn't get them right in my rehearsals. I did skip over some stuff in my rehearsals.
Yeah.
But when the performance came, I got every goddamned word. Every word.
We did a show together called the Yellow Wallpaper.
God,
very
fuck,
early
we did.
on.
Yes, we did.
That was just we could a whole episode of itself. We could title the Yellow Wallpaper and just talk about that show. But it was essentially just a short story broken down
by Charlotte Perkins Gilman.
Mm-hmm.
A revolutionary piece of feminist literature.
Yeah, it's a great short story and
directed by a man and starring for men and a woman.
Yeah, and we all played women too.
We sure did.
Or I did at least. I played
perhaps
Mary. I played someone else.
I never played any women.
It was really just kind of poetry that we all memorized.
Yeah,
like narrative poetry, and
eventually it got to the point where
you came out in your underwear.
I sure did. I sure did.
And a wall of and murdered everybody, or we all got murdered.
You all had been murdered.
Yes. Yeah, and then
I got murdered.
And then you got murdered, and then a wall of cornstarch dropped on all of us, and the whole fucking the small ass black box theater that we were performing in.
It was like someone had fumigated. It was like somebody had opened a smoke grenade and thrown it into the black box.
It was probably so unhealthy to just be for the audience to just sit there and breathing in, and and if you were sitting in the theater at all, you were covered in cornstarch because it just went all over the place. And
sometimes you would lay directly underneath it and it would fall on your face and you would choke to death.
Yeah, you got waterboarded with cornstarch.
It was so awful. It was so bad.
You got cornboarded.
I sure did. But I think that with that show,
the reason I brought that up was that was a show with impossible lines to memorize. None of us knew the lines.
Nobody knew the lines.
Going into like the opening night. And just miraculously I did, and I thought other people in the cast, you scraped by. Like you did not say the lines, but I
did what I always do.
You did what you always did, which was you kept the show moving.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
I just randomly knew the lines all of a sudden. Something about that. It's like fear or anxiety. It just like squeezes the lines into you out of you.
And with this show that I just did, Blood Song, the story of the Hatfields and the McCoys by Chelsea Marcantel, I was playing a real guy that existed named Bad Frank Phillips.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Bad Frank Phillips.
Yeah, Bad Frank, who I share a striking resemblance with. I looked up some pictures of him because they told me they wanted to play Bad Frank, and he was this bounty hunter that like hunted the Hatfields on behalf of the McCoys. He used to be before he was a bounty hunter. He worked for Pinkerton, which was like.
Was he like Monkey Blackburn who would
Monkey Will
Blackburn who would run up in the trees and shoot people?
Have I talked about that on the podcast?
It was like one of the first stories he told.
Oh, really?
I think it was the first Appalachian anecdote.
Oh wow, no.
Which I guess you telling this theater story would qualify as an Appalachian anecdote.
Woo! Come on over here, kinfolk. Let me tell you about old Devil Anse Hatfield and old Randall Mccoy and how they was feuding for all them years.
Sit down on the porch there, watch the splinters.
Yeah. So here's the thing about the Hatfield and McCoy feud that I think needs to be that people need to know is not that long ago it was a very touchy subject at home. Like, it was just one of those things you didn't talk about because so many people...
It was like AIDS in New York.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so many people around, like, remember the fucking backlash of the feud.
Yeah. Well, everybody knows each other in those communities.
And you got to remember, like, I have friends who their relatives fought in the feud.
Yeah. Yeah. You probably have friends... Yeah, they're blood related.
Yeah.
I guess that's what you just said.
I know several. Well, and that's one thing about a common misconception about the Hatfields and McCoys. Not everybody who fought in the feud was related to the families.
They're like gangs.
Yeah, exactly. It was essentially a gang war that took place in Appalachia.
Ba-dum, ba-dum.
Ba-dum, ba-dum.
When you're a Hatfield, you're a Hatfield.
From your first moonshine jug to your last cigarette.
So I was learning these bad Frank Phillips lines, and I was wondering because they contacted me. They said, we want to get bad Frank Phillips right for the competition. You're the perfect cast. And I said, that's a very odd choice. You want me to play this sort of charismatic bounty hunter character. That's a little odd, I think. But I looked at pictures.
I see bounty hunter, at least.
Yeah. And I looked at pictures of him.
You look like one of the alien bounty hunters from Star Wars.
I look like I could be a side character in The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Was it Luke Fisto or something?
Kit Fisto.
Yeah, Kit Fisto.
Yeah.
Your Kit Fisto's like sidekick pet that he has.
Yeah.
Your Kit Fisto's Gimp. Which is the name of this episode. Kit Fisto's Gimp.
The Derby Special.
The Derby Special.
Yeah. So when
should we name it the Derby Special or Kit Fisto's Gimp?
I think it should be. I really think it should be Kit Fisto's Gimp : the Derby Special.
Okay.
Yeah.
There it is.
So I looked up pictures of Bad Frank Phillips, and like the resemblance between he and I is pretty impressive. And he was a very like short, skinny man, and he was known for being ruthless. I mean, this guy was incredibly violent.
Resemblance, you said.
Yeah, resemblance. And I really enjoyed playing him, but we were doing this competition for the American Association of Community Theaters. There were 38 contestants in the first sort of preliminary round, and then we made it to the final 12.
Yeah. Of
the 38. So we are in the top 12, and we're gonna see if we where we place. And
you don't have to perform the show again? No.
We have they
just have to think about it some more.
Well, they brought in a film crew to film the show because there was no audience, because COVID. And this like incredibly high-tech film crew came into our amphitheater and filmed our show, and it was really interesting because community theater in Appalachia is a very blue-collar experience. Like, I know some community theater, it's still like theater people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The community center in Louisville that does community shows. It's like
I have my BFA in acting.
No, it's like lawyers who like did theater in college.
Exactly.
Doing it still.
That's not Blood Song cast. Like, so one of the guys I do the show with, what are we gonna call him? We're gonna call him let's call him Graybeard. That's a good name. Let's call him Graybeard.
Graybeard.
Yeah. So Graybeard, he and his family, who are all in the show, all of his kids are in the show, his wife is in the show, and he's in the show. And they were running late on performance day, and it was, getting to the point where we were gonna have to film this show. And everybody was getting super anxious, and eventually they showed up and walked up to Graybeard, and he's like, I'm so fucking nervous. God, them cameras, I can't do it. And I said, motherfucker, we're all nervous. Listen, if you pass out, I'll catch you and put you back up on your ass. But like, you need to understand that this is happening. After the show, we were talking about, we went out for dinner and we were just shooting the shit. And he was like, we're talking about going on airplanes. His wife was like, I can't wait to go on vacation after all this is over. And I was like, yeah, you guys need to get some plane tickets and go somewhere. And he was like, no, I can't be on no plane. I said, why not? He said, I can't be that far away from my gun. They won't let me take my gun on there. I just can't be that far away from my gun. Can't do it.
He like goes on a vacation. He's writing his gun letters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dearest Winchester.
Dearest Winchester. Yeah. And I love Graybeard. I love him dearly. He's a great guy.
Well, he needs his gun.
But like, can you
He can drive, right?
Can you imagine our like sort of theater friends like doing a show with Graybeard?
Yeah. They're trying to talk to him about like,
I really love
gun reform is
no, gotta keep my gun. What are you talking about? And that's one thing that's super interesting about doing theater back home is like doing theater in Lexington, no matter who you're doing, like it's all very sort of hyper liberal, very woke people.
Yes. One brand of person does theater
politically
normally.
Speaking. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But back home, theater is a very, very diverse politically. Like, you have 25 different people on stage. Pretty much all the people on stage are going to have different political opinions. Like, there are very liberal people I do theater with back home. There are very conservative people I do theater with back home.
Honestly, it's probably a better environment.
It's certainly more, there's a lot more variance in discussion as to what shows mean and, like, what people think shows are about.
That's valuable.
I think so too.
The different perspectives.
Yeah. So like when we did the Christians,
that's a great show to have. To have a conservative perspective on.
Yeah.
Because you can easily just turn that show into shitting on Christianity and the Catholic Church and shit.
They're not Catholics.
They're not Catholics.
They're Protestants.
They're Protestants, but that type of mega church and religious fervor and all that. Great show, by the way.
Amazing
Lucas
show. Lucas Nath.
Who
is, in my opinion, the greatest playwright working right now. I think he's amazing.
He also did the part 2 of
Doll's House Part 2, which is in the competition that we are in, a production of Doll's House Part 2.
Ooh, good luck.
We're competing against. We're also competing against another Nath play, Hillary and Clinton.
Hillary and Clinton?
Yeah, that's the name of the play.
Okay.
It's great. It's all great. But anyway,
he's a good playwright.
When we were doing the Christians, we did a lot of talkbacks with the audience, not just with the cast, but with the audience, about what they thought the show was about. And they all thought that it was a tragedy, like a Greek tragedy. They were like, it's so sad that this man lost his faith. Like, that's what they thought the show was about. And no audience in Lexington.
You should probably give... Yeah, nobody got that.
No.
You should probably give, like... I thought about this. We should probably start giving our listeners, like, just...
synopsis of shit we're talking about?
Just a little bit of context.
Yeah. So The Christians is this play about a mega church pastor who gets up behind the pulpit one Sunday and preaches that he doesn't believe in hell anymore. And the sort of fallout within the church because of that belief. And it's like this beautiful, nuanced treatise on what we believe in and why we believe it.
Yeah.
And what beliefs do for us as people.
It's also very cool because normally how the show is done, I saw it here at Athens West in Lexington a couple of years ago.
I also saw it at Athens West.
Such a good show.
Very much.
Good production. And how it's normally done is the audience is like the procession. It's like the
congregation.
Yeah, the congregation. Which it's so funny. It's like growing up, going to church every Sunday. If you're just a church dweller, and or at least you grew up a church dweller, and you went and you go to that show, there's a feeling, you kind of feel like you're in church.
The first time they say bow your heads, every audience I've ever watched this play. I've seen this play. I've directed this play and I've seen the play 3 or 4 times, and never fails every time. the first time they say, let's bow our heads to pray, everybody in the audience goes down instinctively. And then
Yeah.
like you watch everybody realize like, wait, what the fuck?
Wait a minute, we're
I'm
watching a
watching
play.
a play.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of environment you want. But one of the things, and I loved Athens West production, so
Yeah.
my criticism is meant in good faith. I thought that they played the church smaller than it was intended to be. I don't think they captured a mega church vibe.
No, they did, because a mega church is a hear ye, or whatever.
Yeah, it's big. It's big energy.
Big
big spectacle.
You will leave,
Yeah.
demon. You will leave
Yeah.
in the name of Jesus,
Yeah,
and all that
exactly.
shit. Yeah.
And so when I co-directed it with my dear friend Jason, when he and I co-directed it, we did a lot of work to capture. You know, we were working in a black box too.
Yeah.
And we worked really, really hard to capture the energy of a mega church. Like instead of having the choir be a sort of standard choir, we had a full band on stage. We had a drummer, guitar player, bass player.
Oh, dude, Protestant churches are so much fun.
Yeah.
Especially if you grew up Catholic.
Yeah,
It's-
exactly.
It's so much fun to go to a Protestant church.
and
They
here's the thing.
rock out.
They do. They rock. They fully rock out.
Yeah.
And I grew up. I don't know if I said this on the podcast. I don't know if our listeners will like understand the context of this, but I grew up Pentecostal,
Yes.
like not just Protestant. I grew up in like a, screaming, casting out demons, holy water, people doing laps
Fire and
around
brimstone.
fire and brimstone. That's the kind of sort of church background.
People get up and like run around. And
yes,
shit,
yes,
and like
hell
dance
yes.
and like the
Speaking in tongues, getting the
Really?
Holy Ghost. Hell yeah, brother.
Wow.
I never saw anybody take up serpents, but I do know people.
Take up like snakes?
Yeah, you've never heard of this?
No.
Oh my God.
I've heard of snakes, but I thought that was
Oh my
something to
God.
do with tongues.
No, round 2. It's an Appalachian anecdote. Woo-wee, come up here, pick up that snake, old boy.
Yeah.
So in a lot of Appalachian churches, there is a doctrine of snake handling, and it comes from a very obscure verse in the book of Acts, where one of the apostles said, "And they will take up serpents in his name." And essentially, the doctrine is that if you truly have faith, you can take a snake up into your hands, and it won't bite you because of your faith.
Oh,
And
wow.
so there are a great number of Appalachian snake handling churches, mostly Pentecostal, where preachers and congregants have sort of a fucking menagerie of snakes.
that just are like chilling around for
And
people
like
to
not,
pick up.
not
They're not venomous, right?
yes, venomous snakes.
What?
It doesn't mean anything if it's not a venomous snake. Why would you be worried about getting
I don't know.
Why
You
would you
pick up
test
a-
your faith?
Pick up a big ass boa constrictor that might wrap
Well,
itself
boas
around you.
aren't venomous. Boas are constrictors.
Yeah, well, it can still kill you.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's not venomous. Like copperheads and cottonmouths.
That's
and
insane.
rattlesnakes.
That's insane. Those things
Yeah.
are so
And
incredibly
people will-
dangerous.
and people will
They're all
take-
over the place in
Yeah.
Appalachia too.
And they will take up snakes and they'll dance and speak in tongues.
So have you ever heard of like people getting bit?
Oh
and-
my
and
gosh,
shit?
yeah. A ton of preachers die every year from taking up serpents.
Jesus Christ.
And the
And so,
argument
like-
always is they must have lost faith while they were doing it.
Jesus.
They must have not had faith that the snake wouldn't bite them.
That is insane.
Mm-hmm.
That is pure insanity.
Yeah. Well, you got to understand it's one of the there are very few plays written about the Appalachian experience. Very, very few.
Yes.
But
What
there-
you're here for, buddy.
Huh?
That's what
right.
you're
That's
here
what
for.
I'm here for. And so there's one play. It's a collection of monologues from different women. I can't remember the name of the play right now. I know one of the monologues is called Clear Glass Marbles. I can't remember the name of the play, but it's essentially like women from all over the United States, and each of these monologues represents a different woman.
Yes.
And one of the monologues in this show is called Handler. And it's a monologue of an Appalachian woman, and it's essentially her talking about being a snake handler. And if you play the role, you have to handle a snake while you're doing the monologue.
Surely not a venomous snake in
Of
the
course
in
not,
the
in the
production.
theater. Of course not. Of course not.
She must have not had faith in this
That's
show.
not had faith, but that's a very like popular doctrine in even my community. Like there are snake handling churches in my town.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's not like it's
You wouldn't think that would be legal, like
it's not.
okay.
It's not legal.
There's not lawsuits and shit that go on because of that.
I mean,
I'm sure there are.
What cops are gonna go into a church service and start arresting parishioners?
I'm sure the cops are probably there holding the snakes too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you got to understand it's part of the faith system, right? Like, even when I talk to people in my hometown about snake handling, they're like, "Well, I wouldn't do that myself, but if that's what they believe, you can't tell them not to."
So it's just like the ultimate test of your faith.
Well, they believe it's commanded by Christ. Like, they believe it's as commanded as something like, a Catholic would believe in the Eucharist.
Have you ever picked up a snake?
No, God, no. Fuck that.
I mean, there's correct ways to pick up snakes.
Yeah, well, when I worked at the breaks, we caught some snakes with snake catchers, but like never with my hands.
No, that big pointy hook. Yeah.
I mean, we did that all the time. Just because you got to deal with copperheads and stuff. You can't let them.
Yeah, those
just
things
hang out. You
will
got to get
fucking
those
eat ya.
fuckers, and you can't kill them in breaks property.
No,
It's
yeah.
against the law.
No, you're a park ranger.
Yeah, we can't.
You can't deal with the animal problem by just killing.
No, we just got to take it sort of somewhere else.
Yeah,
let it go.
until someone else finds it, and then we gotta move it around.
Here's
moving around like a Catholic priest.
Yeah, here's another interesting factoid about Appalachian snakes. You familiar with black snakes at all?
There are several snakes that are black, but
These are called. I've only ever heard them referred to as black snakes.
are they? Yeah.
So,
but you have different terminologies for other things, like
right.
Like a black snake could be a fucking lizard for all I know.
Well, it is a snake.
For what you're referring to.
So a black snake, you don't kill black snakes, and this is why. Because
is it like a black cat? It's like bad luck.
No, it's because black snakes eat other snakes.
Ah,
That's what they do. They eat venomous snakes.
That's good.
Yeah, and so anybody who kills a black snake, you're like, that's so stupid. Do you want copperheads? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
A lot of people will capture black snakes and let them go like on their property to keep other snakes away.
There's I guess snakes are good for the ecosystem if they're supposed to be there.
Well, venomous snakes are always, they're so dangerous.
I mean, they're dangerous to humans, but
they eat rodents and
they eat rodents and population control. I'm sure it's like if all the bees went away, shit would collapse in on itself. In Florida, there's a big problem where just people would buy like exotic like South American pythons and shit and just by like they have it as a pet or they release it or whatever. They end up into the ecosystem and they have no natural predators. They're like eating gators and shit.
Right.
And so they encourage people down in Florida to, if you see a big boa constrictor, to fucking kill that thing.
That's how deer
or
are
python
back home.
or whatever they are.
The deer population in Pike County, they'll
that's
a lot of times they'll pay you to kill deer.
That's why there's deer season.
Yeah, because they're like rabbits.
Yeah.
They get out of control. And fucking deer, they're pests, dude.
They are.
They are like, people are like, look how majestic. I'm like, that thing is a rat with antlers.
They're big rats with antlers. They're dumb. They
destroy vehicles.
If you hit a deer, you may not like a deer may seem like a big cat. Like I don't think people is. I guess the antlers is like the big thing.
That's the most dangerous part of it is their antlers.
It is really dangerous if you hit a deer. Like
I know tons of people who've hit deer.
Like just not like to like it's gonna fuck up your car and shit. Like if they roll and like you catch the wrong angle and the antler goes through your fucking neck or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
every fucking time I'm driving at home and I see a deer on the side of the road, I'm like, you better stay right where you are, motherfucker.
I slow majorly the fuck down when I see deer around, and they're all over the place, especially in Western Kentucky.
Another good fucking animal to have around is our dear beloved mascot, the possum.
Yes,
possums are good to have around because they eat ticks.
Really?
Yep, they sure do.
Do we have? Ticks are probably a much bigger problem in Appalachia.
I've had so many ticks in my life. When I worked at the breaks, I would have to come home, pick ticks off all the time.
I've had ticks too, but that's because I was a Boy Scout asshole.
Yeah.
I dragged myself out into the wilderness on purpose.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I lived in the wilderness on accident.
I was born in the wilderness.
I didn't want to be there, but god damn it.
Yeah, I had a little tent. I was making s'mores.
You know,
possums are those things. Those are all over the place. They're
they're
those are all.
they're very sweet animals. They're sweet babies.
When
I came to college for the first time. This is absolutely true. I looked at somebody. We were talking about possums, and they were like, "Yeah, it's a myth that they play dead." And I was like, "No, it's not." And they were like, "Yes, it is." I was like, "Bitch, I've seen a possum play dead. I've been 2 feet away from a playing dead possum."
I went into my outhouse last summer, and there was a possum. I came across like this old garbage bag of clothes I had, and there were 2 possums in it, and one of them, no, there was just one, and it was dead as fuck. Oh, here's what. So this one was dead as fuck, and we had seen another one like around. We knew that there were possums that lived back there. And, like, you just see them from, like, a glimpse of the lights. Mm-hmm. And we knew that a big motherfucker lived out there.
Yeah.
And we found kind of a smaller one that was, like, dead in my bag of clothes, which is still out there. I really need to throw that out.
The possum or the clothes?
We threw the possum out. But,
okay,
but the clothes are probably... I'm not wearing that shirt again.
Sure.
But we found the other possum a couple hours later.
How are you sure the possum was dead?
It was like half its face was like chewed up. It looked like a hit piece. Like it looked like someone murdered these possums because the second one we found hanging from the gutter.
Oh yeah.
Like it looked like it had hung itself from the gutter. Just like its head was like lodged in
Bleak,
and it was just hanging and it was fucking giant.
Was it dead? Or
yeah.
was it playing dead?
It was dead as fuck. I mean, it looked like a suicide. Like we were like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I have the picture of it somewhere probably.
Well, and that's like another great thing about possums is they can't get rabies.
Really? I did not know that.
They're immune. They cannot get rabies at all.
I did not know that.
You cannot find a rabid possum because they cannot catch rabies.
I did not know that. Raccoons, on the other hand,
those motherfuckers.
I love raccoons because
I do too.
they're so smart that you just got to give it to them. They're assholes and they're scavengers and all that shit. And
but you see them like taking the lock off your garbage can and throwing the lid off, and you're like, I mean, motherfuckers got thumbs. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, you admire their persistence.
Yeah, they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
But wait, hold on.
Shout out to varmints.
Shout out to varmint. Round 3, another Appalachian anecdote. Golly, look at Boss Mover. He's fat as a bird. So, I went to high school with a girl. I don't know. Maybe I've told this story on the podcast before. I can't remember.
What is it?
I went to high school with this girl. And she lived up on Elkhorn Creek. We'll call her Blondie. That's what we'll call her.
Okay.
So Blondie lived on Elkhorn Creek, and she came home from school one day.
That's not like her street or anything, is it?
Yes, Elkhorn Creek would be the name of her street name.
Do I need to bleep that out?
What?
Do I need to bleep that out?
No, that's good. Elkhorn Creek is so large that they find she doesn't live there anymore.
Okay.
But Blondie. You met Blondie several times.
Oh, I know Blondie.
You sure do.
I know Blondie. Okay.
Yeah. So Blondie lived in Elkhorn Creek, and she got home from school one day, and her stepdad was stepping out on the porch, and he's like, "Blondie, what are you doing at home?" She's like, "School's over. What do you mean?" He's like, "Come here." She gets up on the front porch and goes, "Shh," and he opens one of the sort of floorboards on the porch. And she looks down on the floorboards, and there's a cat food bowl filled with food. And eating out of that cat food bowl is a possum. And
Did it have a little collar on it?
And her stepdad reaches down into the floorboards and starts petting the possum. And he looks up at her and he says, "Don't tell your mom."
That's so fucking funny. We had a family friend who like befriended a deer.
Yeah.
And like it would like just like hang out in their kitchen and shit, and they would just like walk in their house.
Yeah.
And they'd like give it like bottles of milk and shit. I don't know if they like fully adopted it, but like there's like these pictures of like this deer hanging out with like a cat on it. Like their cat became friends with the deer. Kentuckians, I guess we're animal people.
Yeah. I don't know if I said this on it. My grandmother had a flying squirrel.
Those are native to here.
Yep.
Yeah.
My grandmother had a flying squirrel named Corky.
Corky.
Corky was a good squirrel. I would
The
when
cork popped off. You went flying like champagne.
when I was a little boy, I would like Corky would come out and play, and my grandmother had like a couch across from her love seat, and I would jump from the couch to the love seat and back again, and Corky would like chase after me and like fly from behind me. It was
That's
the
so
coolest
fun.
fucking thing ever.
Okay. So let's talk about the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yes, the finale episode, the penultimate episode.
Hard pivot segue.
Hard
to
pivot.
this.
Hard pivot.
Because you're going to see
Mortal Kombat tonight.
yeah, Mortal Kombat
Yes,
here in a
very
little bit.
excited for it.
Which I watched the trailer for.
So long as it's the campy blood fest it's been reviewed as, I will be very satisfied.
It looked like that in the trailer, and honestly, they've remake Mortal Kombat the movie like
all the time,
like every
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah,
And I've seen none of them.
I've seen the original Mortal Kombat movie, which I'm a huge fan of from back in like the I guess it was the early 80s.
I'm a big fan of Mortal Kombat just because the whole lore, it's on purpose.
It's pretty dense.
It's pretty dense, and it's also just like ridiculous. It's
Yeah.
like there's all these fighters, and they have like weird
They're all from
special
different
abilities.
worlds.
They're all from different worlds and universes, and they all come together
for this
and-
tournament.
They
Yeah.
fight to the death,
And what
and it's just bloody.
do
and
you
it's,
do you have a sort of Mortal Kombat fighter you play as when you pick that controller up?
the dude who has like the long saber fingers or hands or whatever.
Baraka.
Yeah, I would normally play as
Yeah.
Baraka.
I'm a Raiden guy myself.
I liked Raiden.
I like Raiden a
I like
lot.
Jax.
Jax
with his
is
metal
cool.
arms.
Hell yeah, brother.
Which Jax? That's a good
That's good.
That's a good segue to the Winter Soldier.
Hell yeah.
Boom, baby. All right, so I watched the last episode,
Mm.
the finale episode before you came over here.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it.
Really?
Dude, I think that last episode just summed up that show perfectly.
I would agree with that.
Like that, I feel like the whole show. I mean, it's obvious that the whole show is building to the finale and the climax
Yeah,
and all.
Sam Wilson becoming Captain America.
Yeah, it's obvious but like, it seems like that speech that like Sam gave to like all the news reporters and the senators and shit.
Yeah.
Like just that monologue was so fucking good. So
very much.
so well written, I thought, and just it like it's almost as if they wrote that monologue and they're
And
like,
then okay, let's do a show.
we got to make a show to get to this part,
Yeah.
because that it was just I think it's such a timely show.
Yes,
I think
I
it's
agree.
like did they film it in, because I realized
Yeah,
this.
it did get interrupted by COVID, so yeah, they were filming.
But I realized this, that it kind of served as the whole blip and
Yeah.
like a major disaster that happened across the globe.
It was like an allegory for COVID almost.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, and it was. I was wondering if they had started filming it before or after. But
yeah.
I wonder if they like kind of pivoted to turn towards that. It didn't really have that feel
Yeah.
of it. It was much more about the relationship between government and oppressing and the people and rising up and shit like that.
I thought that that Bucky and Sam got fantastic arcs. I think the show did very, very well by them.
I liked Sam's arc a lot more than Bucky.
But I think they both had good, strong arcs.
But what was really, I guess so. Sam's arc is much more concrete because now he's Captain America.
Right. And he is.
I guess Bucky kind of went to therapy and finally told that dude that
he's finally getting some closure for being the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I guess that's good. Yeah.
And he can move on with his life.
Which I guess, spoiler alert, by the way.
Yes.
If you haven't watched this yet.
The thing I didn't like about the finale.
Okay. You didn't like.
And
something.
it's not even a narrative issue. Narratively, it all makes sense. It all tracks.
They killed your little crush.
Well, well, yeah. Fuck, she's gorgeous. She's a lesbian, however. So.
And we're referring to
Carly Morgenthau, the Flag Smasher.
Yes.
Who
was a great character.
A great character.
Yeah, and
great
her arc. I was while I was watching it, I was like, I kind of came to the conclusion. I was like, because I didn't know if she was gonna die or not, and I was like, she has to die.
Sure.
Like,
Well, and here's what troubles me, and here's what makes me frustrated. And this is more about like taking a step out of like the narrative itself and more into like why narratives are the way they are.
Okay.
So you can. Some people have disagreed with me on this. Maybe you do. I think John Walker got a little bit of a redemption arc in the last episode.
He did.
And I hate that. I hate it so much.
Well, not really. It wasn't a redemption arc. It was just it was because like it was like a. It was a little bit of a redemption.
He got to save the carload of people that Carly was trying to kill.
But like he did that, and then it immediately fell back out. Like it was
sure.
It was like a small
he
gesture.
got a hero moment.
He got a small
and
hero
there was that
moment.
very sort of ham-fisted his life didn't matter moment.
Yeah.
I was like,
what?
The fascist is talking about whose life matters? And here's what bothers me, and it happens a lot in any kind of any kind of narrative that's trying to sort of deal with the American divide, like far left, far right, center.
Yeah.
Falcon Winter Soldier tried to do this. Obviously, the Flag Smashers were far left. John Walker was far right. Sam Wilson is the center point.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, it's funny that you say. I just remember watching and thinking, man, I'm so with Sam on all this shit.
Yeah.
I was like, go get him, Sam.
And
go get him, Cap.
The final episode did what a lot of these political narratives did, and it said, through its messaging,
yeah.
That
I knew you weren't gonna like this. I remember listening to Sam's speech, and he's like, why don't you just fix all these things and help all these people that are in need? He's like, well, it's a lot more complex than that. He's like, that may be okay, but I think that things should be better. And you're probably watching that going, no,
yeah, exactly,
you bastard, smack him in the face or some shit.
Well, and like it happens in American political narratives all the time. Like, oh, the far right violent fascist cop, he's just having a bad day. He's a good guy who had a bad go. Give him a break. But the far left, they're dangerous. They have to die.
Yeah.
And just like every other story, the fucking far right guy gets to be redeemed, and the far left, not only does Carly Morgenthau die a violent death,
they all die.
They all die violent deaths.
Yeah. Was it Cezo? What's the guy? Zemo? He blows them all the fuck up.
And what infuriates
with Alfred's help, whoever that old dude was sitting in the car.
And it infuriates me because how many times do I have to watch movies where I'm the bad guy?
I don't know.
It just frustrates me.
Get used to it, buddy.
You're
living over here.
And I understand it. Disney's not going to make a fucking leftist diatribe. They're not going to let Sam Wilson say.
But but considering that you have to agree that whole story arc and the whole message is a pretty liberal message.
I mean, I think it's a pretty centrist message.
I guess
I think it's a pretty centrist message.
I guess you, as far left as you are, you view it as pretty centrist, and me, as centrist as I am, I view it as a left thing. I guess it's all it's all perspective and shit.
Well, and
they didn't go far enough. I mean, obviously they can go farther and they can do shit, but I think the reason why things even out so centristly is because they kind of have to. They have to bring stories have to return to an equilibrium. Things have to people just the middle, finding common ground is normally the compromise. That's where things operate most in reality. And I think that I don't know. I think story-wise and structure-wise, I guess you're complaining about the narrative structure in that.
I'm complaining about that. I'm complaining that.
Are you telling me that this show was that the theme of this show was like propaganda or some shit against
anything that deals with
radical leftists?
I mean it to an extent, yes. To the at the end of the episode, at the end of the series, who was the real villain? Who was the oppressive? Who was the overwhelming force that had to be met in the finale? The Flag Smashers. They're the bad guys.
But I think
because John Walker gets beat before the finale, so he can be redeemed at the end.
Yeah, But John Walker kind of represents. Yeah, he does get his little redemption thing. I thought the whole bad guys were the GRC council and how they're redoing things, because Sam identifies with the Flag Smashers cause.
But it's always with the caveat. I agree with your fight. I don't agree with how you're fighting it.
That's I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. I mean,
so are you saying
I don't think terrorism is. I mean, yeah.
So are you saying that my ancestors?
No,
I'm just asking the question. You're allowed to say yes.
Okay, let's.
It won't offend me at all. I'm just asking the question.
Okay.
My ancestors, Appalachian miners, when they were being paid in scrip and being forced to live in company towns and not earning any wages, and their wives and children were starving, you're telling me when they took up arms against the company owners and against the thugs that were meant to police them, when they took the means of production, when they when they unionized and met violent force with violent force, you're telling me that they were terrorists?
I wouldn't say they were terrorists.
Then neither are the Flag Smashers.
But,
these are refugees being ripped from places they had relocated in the blip by government forces.
But Sam says that in the show. He says, like, you shouldn't call them terrorists. You should call them refugees and all this. He
which
says
is
all
great.
that.
I love that section of the monologue.
No, which I agree. I agree with that. Like, I don't know. It's I know. I get where you're coming from.
Well, and what I've said, I think I've said this on the podcast before. At some point, violence is the only answer.
Yeah, I know.
At some point, it's the only thing that's going to make people listen. Carly was right when she said that. It's the only language these people understand. My favorite line in the whole show is, how many times do we have to pay with our lives just to be citizens of this goddamn planet?
Yeah.
How many times? Because it's not centrist to say that a group of impoverished refugees being ripped from their place of living by a government entity and a fascist cop who murders a surrendering man in the middle of the street, I don't think that the equilibrium point between those two extremes is, well, maybe the politicians should do something a little more. I don't think that's the center point. I think that's a right-leaning point.
I get where you're coming from, but my objections are the same objections that Falcon had in the show. Is like, I get that you're going about this, and I get that violence is the only answer sometimes, but you're killing innocent people. It's like, it's the whole bystander thing.
Well, let me ask you a question about the Flag Smashers. What innocent people do they kill? What innocent people do they kill who truly have no blood on their hands?
I don't know. They kill a good, decent amount of people.
Lamar is the one innocent person they kill. They kill Lamar.
I mean, they kill that
The GRC troops are taking part in the removal of refugees from their place of living. They're not innocent.
What about that? I forget what building it was that they raided. It was just like some government building.
It was
right?
that building. It was a GRC building.
But like all the people in there, they weren't like cops and shit. It was like just people that worked in the building. It was like secretaries and shit.
I thought they were all GRC officers. I thought they were all in riot gear. Maybe I'm wrong on that one.
I remember like there was like a girl in like a pantsuit sitting there like at her computer all scared, and she was like, "What's going on?" And then like the whole building blows up.
Sure. Well, if that's the case, I don't remember that. But if that is the case, that is obviously wrong. But it's so but they didn't kill that many innocent people. Even the politicians whose lives they were risking in the final episode. Those politicians who are trying to rip innocent men, women, and children from their homes.
Well, okay, you can argue that
they're not innocent.
You can argue that or not, but I'm pretty sure that first like government building that does blow up, like the other Flag Smasher goes like, "There's still people in there. Like, what are you doing?" And he's like, she says that like violence is the only thing they respond to or some shit.
Yeah, well, and look at the Black Lives Matter riot. Like, they don't kill people, obviously, but like the destruction of property is violence. I mean, it's the only thing a capitalist system will listen to is the destruction of capital.
Yeah.
It's the only thing they listen to. They didn't give a shit about miners' rights until they said, okay, we're going on strike. We're not mining anymore. Once their capital gets in danger, then it becomes a problem.
I'm
just like, again, I enjoyed the finale. I think narratively it works. I think it's a strong TV show.
The shit they did, I teared up with when they brought
Isaiah Bradley.
when they brought him into the museum and he had that golden statue. Yeah. I teared up in that moment.
That was a really beautiful, and like that's where I think the show really shines. I think its racial messaging is beautiful. I just think that its class messaging is a little misguided. I don't think it delivers on class messaging the way that I wanted it to. And that's just me as a preference. The show overall works very well. The narrative is strong. I can't poke any holes in it narratively. I just have a problem with the messaging.
Okay. Interesting.
Like it was a very well produced, very well written show. I have a problem with the message of the show.
That's so funny. Because right from the get-go with this show, you identified with the Flag Smashers and you fully supported them and stuff. And throughout the whole thing, especially Sam.
Yeah.
Sam is so even-headed and like he just gets into an argument with everybody. Like someone says something, he's like, "But that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You got to think about the other way people look at this." And I identified so much with him.
Well, in it, I don't know.
Obviously not in the full sense of the word.
I'm probably ranting a little bit. I'm probably having a bit of a diatribe, but like
a little bit.
I want to close it out with like, it bothers me so much. Like every time the fucking communist leftists, we get portrayed as the angry mob doing violence on people. We're the ones who are killing innocent people, but I don't remember the leftists being the one to storm the Capitol. I don't remember. I feel like it was the John Walkers that stormed the Capitol.
But don't you think that they painted John Walker as a problem, as a major bad guy, and as that whole subsect of society? They painted that as a thing,
yes.
And they end it with, "Hey, look, this is what I think." I think they chose the reality of the situation.
That's what Tara said as well, and I agree with that.
And you're upset with that because it's fucked up. But what often does happen is what you're complaining about. Those groups get suppressed or whatever. All the government people are fine, even though they're technically bad guys or whatever. And then the bad rogue crop is he just gets a new uniform, and now he's U.S. agent.
Yeah, and
which by the way, I love Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
She's great.
But the fucking line where he's like,
"We don't need a Captain America.
We don't need a Captain America. We need a
U.S. agent."
U.S. agent.
I was like, that's forced.
Yeah, I was like, that's so forced.
That's forced.
Like, that's like, man, like if they had to come up with a new name for that character, that would have been a good moment. But the fact that Stan Lee named him U.S. agent in the fucking 60s or 70s or some shit, they just had to stick with that name.
Yeah. Well, and here's like, I think that's what Tara said as well, is like they did a real ending. The leftists have to die. The politicians get off scot-free and the cop gets a new uniform. And that's real life.
I think,
that's what the world is like. And that, I mean, the only argument I can really say is like, yeah, I know it's the real world, but it sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
I hate it.
But you just put your head down, you go home, you have a shrimp boil, you try to forget all the shit that happened.
I'm going to get a Flag Smasher mask.
That's hilarious.
I'm going to get one and hang it on my wall.
You got to start growing long, ginger, curly hair.
Yeah,
you're gonna,
gosh.
You're going to have Tara dye her hair
Falcon
red.
Winter Soldier, I was not excited about it. I was pleasantly surprised.
I will say I enjoyed the in-between episodes, the week to week.
Yeah,
I did not have the same tension in like, oh, I gotta watch this
with
show
WandaVision
as I did with WandaVision. But I almost will say that just the experience of watching the show and narratively and structure wise and characters and all the shit that happened and the shit they got done in the theme and the messaging and shit.
Yeah.
I almost enjoyed Falcon and Winter Soldier more.
Wow.
But they're almost, it's apples and oranges to compare.
It really
because Falcon and Winter Soldier, what it really is a 5-hour Marvel movie.
That's right.
And Marvel movies are just good.
Right. And WandaVision is a TV show. Ostensibly.
Yeah. WandaVision is it's almost like an art house thing.
Yeah.
I would watch WandaVision as a play.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Very excited for Loki.
Very
Next on the
excited.
docket. Very excited.
It's great. I love these shows that
I
they
do too.
they're
I'm
just
very
gonna
pleased.
keep pumping them up. Gives us shit to talk about on this podcast.
Marvel, you've done it again.
You've done it again. This is
Wow.
this is unintentionally turned into a Kentucky/Marvel themed podcast. But hey, when that's you know what you're getting into.
Yeah,
so we're gonna finish out this podcast with the first part of that, a Kentucky themed. We're gonna make our bets on these horses here. So let me read it out. These so there's a fuck ton of horses.
Fuck ton of horses. More horses than you've ever seen before.
20 to be sure. And I didn't know this. Did you know so it's like a lottery or a draw or whatever, what number you get.
Oh, I didn't
and
know
then it makes a difference what number you are. Like number 1 is like right next to the rail.
Interesting.
That's different from number 20, who's like way out on the wing and he's got a lot more to run, but like it's
that's
like
really fascinating.
but like
actually.
he can like take the curve a lot easier because it's
Right.
less sharp. It's like interesting. So you like the one in the middle has like the perfect thing, but like
right.
so it's weird. So we're gonna read out these names and we're gonna say who we're betting on.
Yeah.
So there's known agent who's
Agenda.
yeah, no agenda. God, I'm dyslexic.
Known agenda.
Known agenda, like the king, who has terrible odds, 67-1. Brooklyn Strong, which in the Kentucky Derby, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
Wait,
get the
did
fuck
something
out.
bad happen in Brooklyn
Who
this
knows?
year?
Who knows?
Probably, but shit happens all over the place. Kentucky Strong, that should be named. Keep Me in Mind, all one word, like an Outcast album.
Yeah.
Sainthood. Oh Bezos, which is a funny name. Mandaloon. Bill Burr is writing that one. Medina Spirit. Hot Rod Charlie, which sounds like a fun name. By the way, horse racing betting, it's all based off of the name.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't know anything about this fucking horse.
You don't need anything to know about the breed or who's riding it or the trainer.
No, of course not.
Yeah, or even the odds, really. Dynamic 1, 50-1. I'm not reading all the odds for. What the fuck? Wait, Helium 55-1. Hidden Stash 43-1. Essential Quality 1-1. That's bullshit. That's what
Almost guaranteed to win.
that is a guarantee. It's like 100%. What are they gonna shoot all the other horses at the start of the race? What the fuck? What is? I've never seen a 1-1 odds before.
1-1, brother.
I mean, I guess
He's gonna win the goddamn race.
there's your favorite.
There's your favorite.
Essential Quality.
Keep an eye on Essential Quality, folks.
Rock Your World 9-2. That's a pretty good odds. King Fury Scratched. Highly Motivated 18-1. Could be a little more motivated. Superstock 49-1. Soup and Sandwich, which is my personal favorite,
Your
35-1, and Bourbonic 37-1.
Bourbonic?
Bourbonic. I don't know. I am putting all of my stock into Soup and Sandwich. I'm a little bit worried about its diet, but I think it's a fast one. It'll get out there, really tear up the race.
Yeah.
It's at the edge of it. I actually heard that Dynamic 1 is like there's this one dude who like has predicted the Kentucky Derby winner like for 15 years in a row or some shit. Or not always, but like he's pretty good at it. And he's picked Dynamic 1, which is at a 50-1 odds right now. So that's a long shot, but if you put down money, you'll get good money back.
I'm going with Rock Your World. I feel good about
I knew you were going to fucking Rock Your World.
I feel good about Rock Your World.
You dirty dog.
Totally Rock Your World.
All right. Well,
this has been the Derby special episode of Kentucky Fried Roadkill.
Hey, next Derby, we're going to enter a horse named Kit Fisto's Gimp.
Fisto's Gimp, yeah. Right. I am Treyton Blackburn.
I am Evan Pride.
Evan, you wanna send us off?
And they're off. Thank you for listening.